everybody? This is Urban J Reviews, and today we are going to take a look at cybersecurity here in 2020. So, just a little bit of background on me. I did study in the master's level, so postgraduate program for cybersecurity policy. So, I do have a background in this. I've been working on the internet now professionally for over 12 years. So, I do have a background in this, and this probably here is going to be one of the most comprehensive list of cybersecurity protocols and things that you can do on your own as a person to secure yourself here in 2020. So this is probably going to be one of the most important videos you've ever watched because of everything I'm about to show you. And I can make a part 2 for this if need be, but also share this with your friends and family because the information that's going to be contained in here is going to be really valuable. So let's go ahead and dive in here. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is these websites. When you type in your name, you could say like just search your name on Google, right? And you'll see that they're like people finders. Some of these websites right here, like White Pages, Spokeo, another one called My Life, they take your information, however they get it, who knows? Well, maybe we know, but I'm not going to make any assumptions. But they get your data and they put it up there, and then you have this profile online on the White Pages or whatever without even knowing that you did something like that. So when you do that, you have a way to get your name on there, and there's a way to opt out of these pages. So anytime you search your name and you find it and you don't want to have your name on there and your address and all that information that's on there, thanks to Business Insider, they've created this guide here to get off White Pages and Spokeo, and there's other ones that you'll want to get off if you're trying to. Some people want to stay on there, that's fine. But if you don't want your personal information on a website, go right here, head to the opt-out page, which you can find here, and it will tell you how you can opt out. You just paste the profile URL. Okay, so the URL is this little area up here. You just paste it right there, and then it'll opt out. You hit this button, and it'll go through the steps, and you can do that for each one of those people finder websites where they're uploading your information, and it's searchable on Google if someone wants to find you. And there's a lot of reasons to do that because you don't know all the reasons why people could be trying to search your information because the internet, anyone can have access. That leads me to my next point that you have here on govnews.com.au. Stop using your real name on Facebook. Okay, on most social medias, it's probably best to not use your real name. So you'll see like someone, they'll call themselves Dan. That's just their name. Or Dan 1.0 or something like this. Use an alias, and people are going to say, well, why don't you use your real name? Well, you're going to tell them, I don't use my real name because I don't know who's out there from what country or from what place or from what part of the country is out there, because you might make a comment on Facebook. Someone has your real name, and let's just say you said something on a comment or something on a group, and you said you upset them because of your political affiliation or whatever. They'll search you out. They might even go on to type in some more of your information to find out who you are. And people do this, they'll be on dating sites. If you're on a dating site, do not use your real name. And if someone's got a problem with why you're not transparent with that, explain to them. You should not be using your real name, especially because you don't know who you upset on there. People have been known to go to their bosses, threaten their work, careers, all these different things, and you don't need that kind of stress in your life. So going anonymous online, especially with complete strangers, that is completely, not everyone in the world needs to have access to you at any given moment. So if you're going to use Facebook, use an alias. If you're going to use some of these other social media sites, even LinkedIn or Twitter, I recommend using an alias. Another thing that I would say you should start doing effective immediately is download this browser here called Brave. So for the most part, I use Chrome, Google Chrome, right? But when I'm doing things like, I don't know, working on things that need to be secure, or maybe something that if I'm on a network that I need privacy for or whatnot, I'll use a VPN, which I'll talk about later, a virtual private network, but also I'll use this browser right here. So I still use Chrome. I'm filming this using a Chrome browser because it's, Google. But additionally to that, so I'm going to do this. Now write this down because this is what you do, okay? You use Brave browser, which is replacing Chrome or Firefox, Mozilla, etc. And then you use this as your search engine, DuckDuckGo. Tired of being tracked online? We can help. Get seamless privacy protection on your browser for free with one download. So you can add this to Chrome, or you can download the browser, which also, Brave browser, So you download Brave browser and then add DuckDuckGo to Brave browser. Okay. The next thing that I was going to tell you guys about was a virtual private network. So what this does is if you're, say, traveling to a hotel, say in, I don't know, Tokyo, and you don't want someone to know what, you know, you don't know how secure the Wi-Fi network is you're on, so you'll mask your IP so you could see local network, public network, local network. So it's basically you could be in Tokyo, but it could appear as though you are searching the web from, I don't know, some internet protocol, some IP in New York. So that's what that people who go to China, for example, they use VPNs to mask their IP so that they can get around the firewall in China. I'm not condoning that behavior. I'm not saying do that, but I'm just saying that's why people who go to China use VPNs, is because in China you can't access Google, Twitter, Facebook, all that. And some people need to be able to access some of that stuff because they like to use Google Maps or Google search engine. They don't want to use Baidu. So a virtual private network, you can get something like that on Norton or any of the, I don't have one that I prefer over the other, but there's some, you can search on the App Store and there'll be some there. Now, another thing that's important is 12 tips to help secure your smart home and IoT devices. So here on Norton, which is one of the industry leaders for this, you can see they're saying like your cameras in your house, you know, your Alexa stuff, if you're not securing your network and you don't have very much experience with that, you should basically use a couple different net or Wi-Fi routers, like the Google. Let's just say you got the Google 3-pack. I'll put a link to some of these products that I use in the description. But this Google Wi-Fi router allowed me to use 4 networks. So one is for guest. Okay, they get the guest password. They don't need to know my Wi-Fi password because, you know, whatever. I mean, I trust all my guests. I'm just saying, like, they don't need to know my main password. Okay. It's just like, I trust my friends, but they don't need to know my PIN number to my ATM card, right? All right, so then I have my smart devices on another network. Then I have my working network, okay? And then I might have might have another one for long range devices like cameras that are outside or something like that. So that's one way you can do that. Like I said, I'll put a link to these Google routers that I use. Some people would say, well, I don't want to use Google. Well, okay, that's another thing. You can use any router, but I use these Google things and I'm pretty fine. I'm happy with that. And then when it comes to products, check this out. So you can actually get this 3-pack right here. What this 3-pack does are these, like on your computer, for example, I'm filming this with a webcam. You can tape, these are like little stick-ons. You just tape them onto your computer and you slide it over the camera when you're not using it. The other one goes onto my phone, okay? So I have one on my phone. I just slide it over and it covers my camera, just like that. Okay, you can do that too. I've got 3 of them. I only needed it for my computer and my phone, but if I wanted to put one on my TV, I can do that. And whenever I need to use the little cam, I'll just slide it back over. But I recommend these. I'll put a link in the description. $5.99. I mean, they're worth it. They're worth their weight in gold, in my opinion. The next thing that I'm going to recommend is a Faraday pack. Any sort of Faraday packs. If you guys haven't already seen my other video on EMP and just electromagnetic pulses and whatnot. But Faraday bags block, you basically get your Faraday bag and you put your phone in there and it protects you against any sort of EMP signal. You know, they can't even track you because you're using an EMP device that doesn't allow the device to radiate outside of the protection that's in the Faraday pack. You can look up Faraday, but basically Faraday gets its name from Michael Faraday, an English scientist who contributed to the study of electromagnetism and electrochemistry. So Faraday bags, Faraday cages, which is a place to put like bigger electronics in the event of some sort of case that you don't want tracking. So Faraday bags, just for your cell phone. I've got a really small one, if I can just find it really quickly here. Let me see if I can find this one right here. See? That's the one I just showed you. Just put it in here, just like that. My phone's no longer radiating. It's protected by a Faraday pouch. And I put it in a bag like this and carry it around on my chest, okay? So next thing that I'm also going to recommend is going to be these right here, these tiles. Because you don't want to lose your keys. That can be a real nightmare. You don't want to lose your wallet. in this case, I have one of these, so it's not going to work as good. But I mostly use this for my keys, but you can get this variety pack right here. These just help you find things if you misplace it. How many times have I misplaced my wallet? How many times have I misplaced my keys? And, you know, I think that's part of cybersecurity because, you know, you need your keys. You don't want to misplace those. And so I decided to include that with the tile. But that can work for your phone because ultimately, if you lose your phone, you know, you get the Find My iPhone app. If you lose your phone, you know, you don't know who can get access to it. And if you're one of those types of people who forget to put pins, so some people like my grandpa, he doesn't put a pin on his phone. Well, he does now, but he didn't before because he just didn't like having to remember his pin and doing all that, so he didn't have one. So if anyone found his phone, it's like they could have access to any of his stuff. So that leads me to my next point. Always put passwords and pins on all your stuff for your phones and your electronics, including the ones in your house. Never think that it's safe. Like seriously, always have passwords and pins for everything. Okay, now when it comes to your data and things that you need to secure, we used to use filing cabinets back in the day. Now we use clouds, right? Well, so to back up, I use clouds. I use Google Drive. I use Google Clouds. I use iCloud. But I also back up everything with one of these. 12 terabyte, again, encrypted. You want to encrypt it, make sure that it's password safe. But these 12 terabyte, these hold your information. So you want to protect those, but you can get it. It is kind of pricey, but 12 terabytes will hold a lot of your information, a lot of your photos, family information, like photos or whatever you need to have. But if you need a little bit of a smaller one, you can get one of these from Western Digital. This is a big one. You can also get a 2 terabyte from Western Digital. Again, I'll put links in the description below to the smaller ones. Let's see if I can find that. Here's a smaller one right here. So Western Digital Elements, so you can get a 1 terabyte if you don't have that much information. But just to put it like this computer has about 1 terabyte. It's not a lot of memory, especially if you take a lot of videos. Anyways, most of you guys will already know, but backing it up on external hard drives is definitely recommended. So one of these other things that people do that they need to really stop doing is just clicking on links that they get. So someone will send them something online, maybe one of your friends, they get hacked, or then they send you a message and it's got a phishing link in there. If you get something that's suspicious, you can go to this website, write it down, virustotal.com. So virustotal.com will allow you to check and make sure the file or the URL is safe. So you just go put the URL right here, search or scan the URL, and it will tell you if there's a virus attached to that. So virustotal.com, bookmark this right here. You can hit bookmark this tab and it will always take you back there, just like you can bookmark this video because there's a lot of information in here. You can save this video, like I said, send it to your friends and family, but you can save this video by bookmarking it because there's so much information in here. You might forget something and you might need to reference it later, but it's all in this video for you. That's why I put it here. Okay, so another thing that you're going to want to do is this thing called two-factor authentication. So Google offers Google Authenticator, and then there's another product. If you don't want to use Google, you can use Authy. So basically what happens is, let's just say you have something that's really secure, like maybe your email that's attached to everything, right? So right now it's backed up by your cell phone, but if someone was to gain access to your network, your cell phone or whatever, all they need to do is just bing and they're in there. But because you have two-factor authentication, well, if they had your phone, that might be a bad thing for two-factor authentication, especially if they can get in there. But this is the most secure form of backup that you can do, is 2FA. So you can use Authy or you can use Google Authenticator. Okay, so this stuff, there's videos on YouTube about how to use Google Authenticator and Authy. I recommend you watch them. I might even do a video if you guys want me to about this particular subject. Also, you guys can reach out to me if you need me to help you set up some of this stuff, because I've discovered that it is kind of challenging for people to get set up with their cybersecurity stuff because they don't know how. It's kind of like needing a handyman around the house. You might need a digital handyman. I'm like a digital handyman. I can help you fix some of these things if need be. I'll try to put a link to where you guys can contact me if need be, to where you guys can solicit my help. If it's going to take I mean, I can offer free advice, but if it's going to take too much of my time, I might charge a little bit of money here and there. But I'm just letting that be known that I am available if needed to help with some of these things that can be a little bit more frustrating. So another thing that you can do to avoid fraud, according to the FTC. So these are cybersecurity tips, 10 things you can do to avoid fraud. Spot imposters. Scammers often pretend to be someone else. Sometimes we'll get these calls from people from the IRS. They'll be like, hey, this is Joe over at the IRS. I just wanted to let you know that this and that, you've been audited, this and that. And you're like, And then you find out, like, wait a second, something's not adding up here, but they try to pretend like it's official, and they try to get you to get scared to pay them like $2,000 to settle right over the phone. And it's like, wait a second, that doesn't work. But people actually take the bait on these things, and that's how they get taken advantage of. So do online searches for the company. So if someone says they're with the company, look up their company. Who are you with again? Try and verify that that person's with that company and that that company is on Better Business Bureau and whatnot. Don't believe your caller ID. Sometimes these guys can mask the caller ID. Don't pay up front for a promise. So if someone promises you something like debt relief or loans or mortgage assistance, a job, they're taking advantage of your situation. So don't pay up front for anything. Consider how you pay. Credit cards have significant fraud protection built in, but some payment methods don't work. Wiring money, for example, Western Union is one where it's really iffy. MoneyGram, the same deal. Talk to someone before you give the money to your personal information. So some people, I've seen this happen where people think that these pastors, these really popular pastors or something, like, I'm not going to say any names, but they'll think they're talking to like the popular pastor, and the popular pastor will be like, God loves you and he wants to see you blessed. But they're just trying to scam you, and they'll say like, here, you send me $500 and I'll send you $50,000. And you'll say, well, why do I need to send you $500? And then they'll say, well, because I need to see that you have faith, or something like that. And people take the bait, and that's how these scammers exist. They try to convince them that it's really the pastor, it's really this person of God, and they're really going to be blessed because of this situation. But be aware that those people are doing that. So it's not always the pastor. And then people think that it's the pastor and they blame the pastor, but it's not the pastor. It's some person in some other country or some other place across the country, who knows where they're at, trying to scam someone to get them to send money on Western Union or something. So be skeptical of free trials, because free trials can be kind of iffy. They'll say 7-day free trial, but the catch is, if you don't cancel your free trial after 7 days because it evades your mind, you might end up locked into a free trial that ends up being a monthly thing. And then you look back and you're like, whoa, I've been paying $120 a month for what? So there's a lot of different things. There's sign up for free scam alerts with the FTC. You can go to this website. I will put some of these links in the description below so that this can help you guys out. Now, that's basically going to summarize the majority of the things you need to know when it comes to cybersecurity. But I do have a list. Let me just make sure that I've gone over everything in summary. You're basically going to want to make sure that you opt out of those people finders. Those are the real big ones right there, because that's your personal information, your address, your phone number, all this information. And if someone's got a vendetta against you because of something you said on the internet, from some chat room or wherever, or who knows why they would have a vendetta against you, you don't want them to be able to search that information. So I will put a link to that specific article where it shows you how to opt out. That's by Business Insider. So big shout out to Business Insider for putting together this list. I will put that link in the description below so you guys can go through and find out where your information is. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I recommend you share this video with as many people as you can, because it's got a lot of information. Bookmark it so you can reference it at a later time. I may make a part 2 to cybersecurity, and like I said, I'll try to put a link to a way you guys can contact me if you have any questions or you need my assistance one-on-one. Thanks, guys.